Okay, so let's take a look here. We know that we're going to use both of these equations. We have to solve for them. What are the variables that we're solving for?
X and Y.
X and Y, okay? So we're trying to get the solution to these two equations. So we're trying to solve for X and Y, which will end up being an answer in an ordered pair form. Now, we're going to use one equation to substitute it into another equation. You're going to use the equation that has the variable by itself on one side of the equal sign. You're going to use that equation to substitute it into the other one. So which equation has a variable by itself?
Y equals 4.
Okay, so what does Y equal?
4x.
Okay, so we're going to use this equation and we're going to substitute it in the equation below. Now, when I say substitute, instead of putting Y, so instead of putting X plus Y equals 5, we're going to substitute for Y. What does Y now equal? 4x. Okay, so we're going to have X plus, when I substitute, I use my parentheses as a placeholder, 4x. So I substituted for Y. What's the rest of my equation? Equals 5. Okay. Now, do I need these parentheses to help me distribute or multiply?
You don't have to.
No, so I don't need them, so I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of them.
If we keep them, it's fine. Right?
If you keep them, it's fine too. Okay, so now we just have an equation we're solving for. You guys already told me I can't distribute. So after I distribute, I check to see if I can do what? Can I? Yeah, what is that going to be? Then I have a one-step equation to get the variable by itself. I divide by 5, right?
And I get 1.
So x equals 1. So what's the first part of my solution here? 1. Okay? So I know what x is. What don't I know? What y is. Okay? So now we're going to substitute for the variable what? X, because now I know what x is. And that's going to give me the answer to what? Y is. Okay? So it does not matter where I substitute the x for. I can use my first equation or second equation. But you want to use the one that you're going to have less work to do. But again, it doesn't matter. You can't go wrong. So which one do you guys think would be easier for us to? Yeah, the top one. So if I have y equals 4x, what am I substituting for?
Y.
I'm solving for y. I know that. So what do I substitute for x here? So 4 times 1. What's 4 times 1?
4.
So what does y equal? So the second part of my solution is 4. And I put that in the y spot. And then I box it because that's my final answer. Okay? So the second one's going to be just like that. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to take a look again. Do I have an equation that has the variable that's by itself? Yeah, just the y. Then that's the equation. Now, when I say the variable by itself, I don't mean like x plus 3y. I mean just like by itself on one side of the equal sign, which is y equals 2. So I'm going to use that to substitute it into the equation below it. So which variable am I substituting for right now? Okay, so x plus 3. And you told me I'm substituting for y. So what do I put in place of y?
2x.
2x. Then what?
Equal -14.
Okay, oops. So now I have my equation. Do I need the parentheses this time?
You don't
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what do I do first here?
You times 2x by 3
And get,
is 6x.
okay. Now what?
You bring
Find my terms.
Which is?
6 and 1. So it'll be 7x equals -14. Divide and equal -2.
Okay, so where do I put this -2?
in the next spot.
In the x spot. Okay, now what can I use the -2 to help me find?
Y.
The value of y, okay? Yes, Josh.
I want to learn it.
Okay. I'm ready.
Alright, try. Okay, so you use y equals 2, right?
You sure can. You can use the bottom one too, but I would use y equals 2x.
And then put in parentheses -2. And then you times that together, which is -4. That
Nice. Good. Do you have your ID?
I just realized I messed up.
Oh, it's asking to share ID. Okay. Let's take a look on the back side.
Can I try backside?
You want to try the back side?
Let me just erase everything.
It's hot in here.
Is it? I can open the window a little bit.
It's stuffy.
Stuffy. I usually open the window up second hour, but I cannot.
Cold and warm and everything.
Okay. Now, the back side is different than the front side. How so?
We got more numbers.
problems.
We have to,
Bigger problems.
we can get the X by itself in the first one.
Okay. So I don't have an equation where I have the variable that's all by itself on one side of the equal sign, do I? So then my goal, I first have to rewrite one of the equations so that the variable is by itself on one side of the equal sign. Now Ben said we're going to get the x by itself. Why do you guys think he picked that one?
Y has a number by it.
Yeah, y has a number by it. So I'm going to take this equation, x minus 5y equals 10. And Ben said that we want to get the x by itself. So I'm going to circle that. You don't have to circle them anymore. I'm not taking points off at this point for not circling your variable. However, I recommend, especially when you're working with two variables, I recommend that you still circle the one that you're trying to get by itself, just as like a little clue to help you remember, like, okay, get everything that's not circled from the left to the right. So if I want to get the x by itself, what do I have to get rid of?
The number 5 Y.
And how do I do that?
Well, add on both sides. Yeah.
Okay,
And then you can't do nothing with it, so you just put x equals 5y plus 10.
good.
I did it.
So now which variable am I going to substitute for?
X.
The x. So I'm going to use this x and I'm going to substitute it in this second equation here. So when I see that x, what do I substitute in?
2.
No. When I see that x, what do I substitute in for it? What'd you say? No.
I thought we had to substitute for 5y plus 10.
Yeah. So when, because we're saying x equals this.
5y plus 2.
Yeah, you were saying 2. I heard 2.
I heard 2.
Because I asked like twice to make sure. Okay. Okay. So when we have 2x minus 10y equals 20, you guys are telling me x equals 5y plus 10. So when I see this x, I substitute. Okay, so I'm going to substitute. So let's see here. I have 2. Oh, there's my x. So I'm going to put my parenthesis. And what do I substitute for x one more time?
5y plus 10.
And then the rest of my equation?
You just put equals.
No, I do not.
Oh, you gotta put minus 10.
Minus 10y. There you go. Equals 20. Okay. Now what? Now I'm just solving for the equation. So now what? Distribute. Okay. What's that equal?
10y.
Okay. Then what? 10y minus 10y, what happens?
0.
Can't, we don't, no, it's not just y.
1.
If you put 1y, it's not 0 though. You said 10 minus 10 is 0, right? So we can't put y because anytime we put a variable, what does it automatically assume the number is? 1. So if it's 0, we just don't write anything down, right?
It's
So if I don't write anything down, what do I bring down on my left side?
20.
And then what do I bring down on my right side?
20.
Okay.
Real numbers, I think.
It is all real numbers. All points on the line.
He's got that one down.
What?
All points on
But who said all points on line?
Chance.
Good job, Chance.
Yes. Okay. All right. Now, what if they ended up, well, we'll take a look. Okay, so now we have 5x minus 2y equals 14. And 2x minus y equals 5. So when I'm looking at these, the first thing I'm going to look for is to see if I have a variable all by itself on one side of the equal sign.
Nope.
No? Okay. So then the next thing I'm going to look for, do I have an equation where the variable is somewhere in there by itself? Yeah, which one? Huh? Bottom one, yeah. So this is the one that I'm going to work to get the variable by itself first. Okay? So I just have 2x minus y equals 5. Okay? Now, which variable am I solving for? Which variable do I want to get by itself? Y. Okay? So what do I get rid of? So I subtract it. Any questions about how I got my answer where I'm at right now? Okay.
So now we should divide by 1.
Not by 1, but by -1. So we got to get rid of that negative sign. So then y is going to equal, what's negative 2x divided by -1?
Positive 2x.
Okay. What's positive 5 divided by -1?
Negative 5.
Good. So which equation am I now going to substitute what I just found into? The top one. Okay? So which variable am I substituting for? So I'm going to substitute the top equation, and I'm going to substitute for the variable y. So I'm going to have 5x minus 2. Oh, there's my y. So what do I put in there? Then what?
Distribute.
Uh-uh.
Oh, you got
Equals 14. Then distribute. Get your equation. Okay? Distribute. -2 times 2x is what?
X
-4x. Okay?
plus 10,
Plus 10 equals.
14.
Okay, now what?
Combine like terms.
So
1x plus 10 equals 14 minus 10 on both sides. 4 equals 1x, or 1x equals 4.
Okay.
Divide that.
now, do you really need to divide it by 1? If I take 1x and I divide each side by 1, what am I still going to get?
4.
So really, what could I do with that 1?
X equals 4.
Yeah, I could just erase it, right? Get rid of it. So x equals 4. So my x value, whoops, my x value is 4. Okay. Now, does it matter which equation I use to solve for y?
Yeah.
Nah. I can use y equals 2x minus 5, the one that we came up with together. I can use 5x minus 2y equals 14. I can use 2x minus y equals 5. Does not matter.
Let's use the one we came up with.
Which one do you want to use?
Y equals
Third one.
Y equals 2x minus 5? Okay. So we're going to use this third one here. So which variable am I substituting for?
X.
Okay. And what am I hoping to solve or find?
Y.
So I'm going to put y, and you guys said I'm solving for x. So what do I substitute for x? 4 plus 5. Okay. Bless you. Bless you. That was so quiet. That's so quiet. Bless you. Can we get a real loud one, though? Just like blow Chance away. Okay. All right, what do we do now?
Y equals a plus, wait, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which then equals? Okay. So my solution is 4, comma,
Wait,
13.
did we divide that by -1, so would it be negative?
No. Remember, this is our equation.
Why did you put a plus 5 though?
Because a positive divided by a negative is a negative. All right.